Anyone else have very little patience for roughing it in their 30s and instead choose comfort, vacations, travel, concerts etc. I was barely a roughing it person when I was in my 20s. Now in my 60s, I'm spoiled rotten. We used to jam 6 girls in a mediocre hotel room, walk everywhere to avoid paying for cabs, cheap tickets for events, cheap cruise line, etc. Now I can barely share a hotel room with one other person, and that includes my husband. I need my own bathroom. I have no problem getting an Uber just to go a mile or two. Good tickets only for events and more luxurious cruises. Flying is the biggest problem, since even premium economy costs a fortune and business class is out to lunch. But man, I love business class. I hope to accumulate enough points so that I never have to fly economy for more than 5 hours. I'm old. I deserve it for being on this side of the dirt. I flew business class, upgraded with points, on a RT flight to Australia this year, and I really don't know if I can do coach on long haul flights anymore. I'm pretty sure I can't. I joined Aeroplan and am racking up as many miles as possible so when I come home from New Zealand in 2 years, I can fly business class. I've never paid for business class, but I have been upgraded 3 times on transatlantic flights, and it is heaven. I'm quite sure I'm going to get to the age where any flight over 5 hours has to be business class, or I'm not going. Many years ago, an older, wealthier friend told me, nice things are nice. I think of that often. For me, it's less patience for nonsense as I've gotten older, more cushy finances, and facing the reality that I have limited time left on earth, and I'm not spending it in basic economy like a cow on a cattle truck. For what? To die and leave my money to my cat? I've realized what's important to me, and it's comfort, enjoyable experiences, people I actually like versus walking obligations, and with reasonable means to achieve that, and less fucks to give. I'm simply not subjecting myself to situations I don't enjoy. I'm the same way. My friends and husband love camping, tenting it. Sorry, I'm too old and work too hard to sleep outside or poop/shower in a public bathroom for 5 days straight. Going to a bar? Nope. I'd prefer to drink in the comfort of my own home listening to the music I want to hear. Lining up for whatever event? Nah, I'll catch it on it while on my couch. Seeing a concert with tons of screaming people and crowds? You could not pay me to go. All of the above things I loved as a teen/20 something. Even 30 something. Now in my mid 40s you can't get me out of the house lol. While I'll always be the queue for 24 hours to get front row kind of person with concerts, I'm absolutely all for comfort when it comes to vacations. When I was younger and traveled with friends, we'd find the cheapest hotel rooms available and would always get the earliest flights and trains because they cost so much less. This also led to us sometimes sleeping on chairs at the airport/train station. Because why waste money on a hotel room we'd only use for a few hours anyway? Absolute insanity. I'd probably have a breakdown out of pure anger if I tried that now. Lol. Now I'll splurge as much as my finances allow. Hotel rooms must be fairly spacious and have nice comfy beds, and I don't care if a first class train tickets costs more than 3 times the price of a standard. I refuse to ride second class even for a short trip. It's not about physically feeling any worse than before. I've just gotten comfortable and lazy. I wouldn't have done that for a concert. Even in my 20s, I still prefer camping to hotels. Even in my 40s I'd splurge on more comfort while traveling if I had the means. But not much. So nothing much has changed for me with age. That's one reason to be into obscure bands barely anyone cares about. Not the cool factor, but the fact that you could see them for $10 and be upfront no problem. I won't rough it for a concert or social event, but I do love to rough it for vacations. My ideal vacation consists of mountains, hiking, and backcountry camping, but waiting all day at a concert or music festival? Pass. Same. I'll take roughing it in nature, but not roughing it with people. I think when you've been there done that it's not that exciting or worthwhile anymore, especially if you have the financial means not to. I also think certain events like concerts can be a pitter even if you do have the $. I don't go to any that involve a significant drive and having to pay for parking or needing to go during the week or in bad weather or having to wait until almost midnight for my favorite artist to perform. Also, I have a number one won't go over for concert tickets. I don't care how much I love the artist. There was someone I wanted to see last summer and it would cost close to 1k for tickets in the nosebleed section. Especially if we brought my son and paid for food and drinks. Nope. Definitely I feel like as I've gotten older my patience has really worn thin. I solo travel a fair amount and have stayed in a fair share of hostels, but I just remember the last time I was in one I was just so cranky and was like F this lol. More and more so, lol. Even with little things, I'm more willing to pay for convenience and comfort. Think paying for parking instead of circling around a long time for a free spot. I absolutely will not rough it for travel nowadays. No more crappy hotels and early or red-eye flights to save money. I'm willing to pay more to wake up at a decent time to catch my flight, for non-stop flights, and for nice hotels. I'll be honest, I've never been good at that. Even when I was a teen. I can't just sleep anywhere anytime. I have to be comfortable. Like I don't need a mattress necessarily, but I at least need an extremely comfortable futon/blackout curtain/no one barging into my room. I can't sleep in people's living rooms. And I could never do the standing area for concerts. Oh me. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer. I spent 5 years in my mid-20s living in a hut using a latrine and taking baths in a bucket with water I hauled from the river. I'm now 33 and frequently travel to developing countries for work and now insist on the nicest available accommodations lol. Somewhere along the way I grew up. Sounds like you earned it. I mean, I know people who enjoy camping. Yeah. But pretty much nobody I know roughs it anymore when actually traveling. Our backs won't let us. I love tent camping, but won't go without an air mattress. Absolutely. I'm still fairly frugal when traveling, so that I can travel longer/more frequently, but it is way less so than when I was younger as I value comfort, privacy, good sleep, etc. Now, I also camp and backpack and such and love it, but carry more weight in my pack than others might, so that I can have a cushier sleeping setup. I have zero patience for waiting though. Zero. Kind of always have though. I can't wait longer than like 20 minutes for a restaurant. And 100% would have let my BF do his own thing while I got dinner and drinks. Lol. It's probably less to do with your age and more to do with your personality. What it does have to do with your age is that you're realizing that you don't have to sacrifice your own comfort for the opinions and pleasure of the masses. In my personal experience, I spent the better part of my teens and 20s just pleasing everyone around me, so that meant being uncomfortable, making myself miserable, doing what I thought I was supposed to do, because well yes I'm young and have all this life to live. At some point I just embraced my natural desire to be an introvert and I stopped fighting it for everyone else's happiness. I also found that being in a relationship with someone who's not even remotely introverted or didn't have even the slightest urge to introvert occasionally meant I was going to be incredibly unhappy, tired and in a constant battle. You do you, whatever that may be. I didn't know I was introverted until my 30s. I thought I was just a raging bee all the time and had a miserable life. I'm too poor to go the comfy route for most things. A concert is a huge thing for me, and I want to be as close as possible. I've never had the luxury of being in the very front row for big concerts, and would love to just be able to afford those kinds of tickets. If your S/O is used to the same, it could be a big deal to finally get to see a band from the front row. That's always been me. I went to a Fall Out Boy concert with friends when I was like 22 or 23. And they all wanted to push their way up to the front and jump around, and I said thanks but no thanks, and hung out in the back by the wall, and you wouldn't catch me dead camping. Haha, I went to a festival last summer, the first after the lockdowns, and I was very very happy to sit and chill in the back and watch from the screens. My younger friends did the front row thing and I didn't see them the whole festival. Pretty much. It made me laugh because a few years ago I probably would have been down for that too. Same with traveling. I traveled a lot in my early mid-20s, mostly hosteling. And now I'm like, nope. Hotel. That cuts into a lot of the budget. So I'm kinda glad I got that out of the way early on in life. I'm all about paying for convenience and comfort if I can now. I bounced around the world for the majority of my 20s teaching scuba and bartending. Whenever I was traveling I stayed hostel dorms with rows and rows of bunk beds. When I working it was studios bungalows with Noah/C. A couple of my bungalows didn't have shower heads and one didn't have a toilet seat. I had to go out and get one. It was amazing. I got married, and for our honeymoon we did a month in Ecuador. Our budget was around $50 to $70 a night, which allowed us to stay in 3+ star hotels or get private rooms in hostels. A couple of our places were directly on the water too, with it being covered, and also our honeymoon. People kept giving us upgrades. Like we would get moved from a normal room in a hotel looking over the road, still 100x better than I was used to the suite overlooking the river with its own hot tub. It was incredible. We also got an upgrade on our flights because of the honeymoon/covered combo. I turned 30 on the trip, and now I can never travel like I did in my 20s again. There really is something about having your own room and bathroom with all the fixtures. For many of us a combination of more money and less free time and less energy means "roughing it," whatever that means to the individual, is absolutely not worth it anymore. Also in my 20s I was so hungry for experience that I'd soak up even kind of crappy things just to know what life was all about, or to walk in the footsteps of some literary role model. Now that I've lived a fair bit, I don't always value the experience for its own sake, and am much more selective and comfort seeking. Oh yes, we were at Costco just this weekend, and my husband was scoffing at the massive full-size family tent. He used to camp in Boy Scouts. I just blinked a few times and then said, very calmly, I would always buy the biggest tent for my camping gear. There is room for a full-size queen blow-up bed, entryway for shoes, a broom, and space to put a chair and get dressed. He took a second to realize he wouldn't want to sleep on the bare ground now either and said, oh, yeah. That makes sense. Lol. Yeah. For me it's mostly comfort and partly the ability to afford comfort. I avoid roughing it these days. That being said, I think that some of those roughing it experiences are kind of miserable while you experience them, but weirdly also become some of the best memories. You forget about the public bathrooms and lack of showers, and remember the adventure, nature, awesome band, whatever it was. I bet in a few years, you'll look back on the concert and just remember that you were at the front, not that it took hours of discomfort to get the experience. That's the mindset I try and have for some less luxurious things. As much as I like comfort, I'm too young to be closed off to at least some adventure. Oh, absolutely. When the other half and I go to metal shows, we book the VIP section in the balcony. We have seats and a table. I'm pushing 40 and I feel like I've paid my dues getting trampled. I think it's a combination of getting older and less patient, but also just having more money. When I was younger I didn't even think about comfort. I looked for cheapest everything because I knew that's all I could afford. Went on a solo trip this year for the first time after not traveling through COVID. My career has progressed since the before times and I make a lot more money. Found I was catching myself stopping as I'm booking things thinking, wait a minute, you don't have to go for the 36H flight journey with 3 layovers, nor do you have to book a bed in the 10-person mixed dorm hostel. You can afford the shorter flight and the private room. Felt like a real mindset transition from traveling in my early 20s. I was like 25 when I decided I've had it with standing concerts. It's seats or not going for me. Yeah. The only time I've not booked a seat for a concert was Berlin at the Hollywood Palladium. No seating at all. Then, I had little patience for roughing it in my 20s, let alone 30s now. Concerts are miserable. They start way too late, and forget dealing with We started getting tickets in front row balcony seats. 100 million% better, especially because I'm 4 feet 11. I refuse to rough it. Mostly because I grew up poor and my mother always told me how hard she was working to keep us off the streets. So, yeah, no thanks. Yes, in my 20s I once stood for 12 hours to be front row at a festival. There is no artist on earth I'd do this for now, and I love live music. I also travel well and prioritize my experience.